Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network.
And coffee.
And a lot of coffee. I'm your host, Jeff Melanoff. With me is my partner in crime, Marc Coffee Souza.
They call me the marvelous Marc Souza.
No, that's Mark Marrow. Anyways.
The man, the myth, the Marc Souza.
No, not going to call you that.
Hey, have you seen Bird Box?
I've seen bits and pieces, not the whole thing.
Oh, you've only seen the memes then.
No, I've seen more than that. I've seen the opening, which is pretty heavy stuff.
You've seen the opening? What happened? How come you didn't finish it? You had to go?
No, I was catching all as I was leaving.
So what was the last thing you saw?
The car accident.
Okay. That was pretty early, yeah. That was like the first
When I saw
5 minutes.
the woman bash her head in the hospital, I was like, "Jeez, it reminded me of The Happening." Remember that movie?
Yes, that's the movie that I couldn't figure out the name of. Thank you. I was trying to explain that to somebody when I was explaining.
It's basically The Happening.
So get this. Me and my wife went to dinner.
Did you do a blindfold challenge?
No,
thing?
get this. So we went to dinner on Friday night, and I'm sitting there, and I didn't watch the whole movie yet. I only watched the first hour because she came home, and I didn't want to continue it. And she was like, "I don't want to watch this movie. I don't want to watch this movie." So I decided
she doesn't
to
like
watch
horror?
it. Yeah, she doesn't. So I started explaining it to her, Jeff, and she was like, "Oh, I'm kind of interested." And there was a couple next to me, a little bit older, maybe in their 50s, and they're like, "Hey, are you talking about Bird Box?"
Wait, where were you watching this?
I was at dinner at the restaurant.
You watched it during dinner?
No. I was explaining to my wife the first hour of the movie because I had only watched the first hour.
Got it.
And the guy next to me was like, "Wait, are you talking about Bird Box?" And he totally talked to us the rest of our meal. It was interesting.
Weird.
Yeah. Anyways, football. There's a lot of things that happened other than the Bird Box challenge, although maybe Cody Parkey was doing it. But hey, let's move on.
Oh,
we'll get into that after.
The memes were all over the place after that.
Segment 1, NFC. We'll cover the NFC, both games. We'll do the AFC the next segment. And then segment 3, we've got to talk about the Natty, the national championship game, Clemson, Alabama. We'll do that. We'll break it down. We'll give our predictions, what to expect, some other cool news and notes from the game tonight. And then also, last segment, we will do some injury updates, other things around the NFL that should be noted as we approach the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. So let's talk first. Let's go first the first NFC playoff game of the weekend. Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks. The Cowboys defeat the Seahawks 24-22.
I'm pretty sure you're forgetting a game that happened earlier.
No. I'm doing the NFC in segment 1, like I told our listeners.
Got
and the AFC in segment 2.
I was listening.
Obviously not, because I said we'll do the
I know.
NFC first, then the AFC.
Gotcha. April Fools.
So Cowboys beat the Seattle Seahawks. What were your first thoughts of this win by the Cowboys?
Well, honestly, the Seahawks are a shadow of what they used to be. I know their defense is still positive, and there's a lot of still positive look at it, but honestly, when you keep running the ball and you keep getting stopped, there's only so much you can do.
Yes, agreed. What was Seattle doing running the football into a brick wall all night and not getting
As
anything?
the offensive coordinator.
They were not moving the ball at all. You cannot establish a run if the run isn't working, right? Like, isn't the point of establishing the run, like, sticking to it because you're moving the chains? You're moving the ball? What's the point in running the football if you're averaging a yard and a half a carry?
A half a yard carry. That's borderline nothing. I'm sorry, that's borderline nothing.
Yeah.
And how can you win games when you keep running it, not down their throats, but down your own throat? You're choking on your own running game.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Offensive Coordinator, whoever you are, I know who you are, but it's more fun this way. Whoever you are, you need to look for a new occupation.
Well, I don't know if he will be the offensive coordinator next year. I would assume he will be.
I know he just got signed this year, too. But this is one of those things in where, my Lord, you cost the team the game. That was.
I just don't understand how you have Russell Wilson, a seasoned quarterback, a playoff experienced quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and you decide that you're going to put the ball in the hands of your running back and your offensive line, who is at best below average. In a game of this magnitude, in a win-or-go-home situation, you do not put the ball in your franchise player's hands. I think it's inexcusable, and I'm not sure how Pete Carroll could just stand on the sidelines there and watch this happen. I thought for sure at some point there would be an intervention. Like Pete Carroll, I'm not going to stand for this.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's just like, really, you don't know what's the problem, type of thing. I just there was a lot wrong with him, and it's one of those things in where it's the more along lines of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This was broke, and he needed to fix it.
So let's see. They didn't change their game plan. They didn't adjust. The Cowboys' defense was great stopping the run. We know the Cowboys can get beat through the air. They were 31st in the NFL over the last 5 weeks of the season against the pass. We know that they can be beaten. If you can stop their pass rush, you can beat them through the air. Absolutely. Any Cowboys fan would say that. And yet we saw a Seahawks team not take advantage of that. They did not take advantage. Tyler Lockett had 4 catches for 120 yards. He should have had 5 or 6 catches at least, right? I mean, Doug Baldwin, 3 catches. These guys are good players. They're tough to guard. Lockett, super fast on the outside. Baldwin, very shifty slot receiver, giving Cowboys defenders problems at times. Yet we saw them 2 out of 3 times basically hand the ball off. It was like, how many drives did we see where it was run, pass, punt? Run, pass, punt.
And when they passed, they did extremely well. So I don't know why they couldn't just continue to pass the darn ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's just frustrating. It's frustrating as a fan of football when one thing is not working and they continue to do it. It's like saying like, oh, she won't cheat on me again, and she cheats on you again. Oh, she won't cheat on me again, she cheats on you again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm getting at? This is like, obviously it's not going to work. Why keep doing against a great defensive front in the Dallas Cowboys, and you still keep running the ball? Sir, you got to get with the times, and when you're passing they're destroying Tyler Lockett was destroying the secondary. Why not keep giving him the ball? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But instead, give it to Chris Carson, who's rushed for 20 yards on 13 attempts.
I know that Seattle's identity is running the football, but again...
That was Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, but now they still run the ball more than any team in the NFL.
It's just frustrating to me.
It is. Watching that game, it's just like, how do you constantly keep doing what you're not doing well? But anyways, we got to talk about the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott had a great game. I feel like when he has a big game, Cowboys usually win. When he doesn't, they probably lose. And he had a really good game. Big game. Again, over 120 yards rushing for him. Ezekiel Elliott, not only running the ball, but I just thought his presence, even in the passing game, you could tell Seattle had problems stopping him. And I thought it allowed Dak Prescott to make a few plays, especially later on in the game. I will say this, Bobby Wagner, for being an all-pro player, picked a heck of a time to have a terrible missed tackle in that game on Dak Prescott's run. Yeah,
and of course, what they did was also run the ball, the Cowboys did mainly. But they had Ezekiel Elliott, and he's a lot better than any of the running players they have on the Seahawks. I think we can agree on that. And so that's different between the two running. When their running was working, so they kept running the ball. That's one thing. And they played great. Dak Prescott did what he needed to do to win the game. He managed the game perfectly, got them the win. But did you see the guy that bet on the Cowboys, who were 2.5-point favorites, and witnessing the Seahawks go for 2 at the end of the game?
Maybe.
Because the dude freaked out. He yelled so hard at his TV.
I saw that guy, yes.
Yes, it was the funniest thing and I would be so upset at Janikowski because if he doesn't get injured, they probably just take the extra point and it's up by 3 instead of 2, and he wins his money.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they didn't want a guy to kick the ball to get him into a one-scoring game when he's never kicked the ball on the ground in his life. He's only done drop kicks because he's played in Australia. And so it was the smart move for the Seahawks to go for it, but not for that guy. He almost looked like he was about to have an aneurysm. Don't know his name, but I just know I saw it on it was Instagram.
Oh, the better, yes.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. Anyways,
when he goes, no, it was like someone he loved get shot. It was like no.
Cowboys move on. I think they're fortunate too because they'll be playing the Rams in LA and not the Saints in New Orleans. I think they will welcome that challenge, and I think they have a better chance to beating LA than they do the Saints for sure. So I think they gotta like where they're standing right now. Obviously, they win, they move on, but their next opponent, I think that game in LA will be a more winnable game for sure. What do you think about that? Do you think that Cowboys fans should be happy about their next opponent rather than playing the Saints?
Well, if they played the Saints, they would get crushed. But the Rams are not as good as the Saints, in my opinion, and they have a chance against the Rams. Excuse me. Saints are the best team in football, and the Rams have kind of like playing against Drew Brees, who's been in the playoffs before and has done all these things, or play Jared Goff, who's been there once and kind of has been struggling there at the playoff stage. So that's what I'm saying is maybe it's time. Maybe it was the best choice to. Well, they got lucky in playing the Saints or the Rams. I keep getting those two mixed up, but playing the Rams is a lot easier than playing the Saints for sure. But it's not easy. Mm-hmm. But it's easier.
Yep. Now let's move on to Philadelphia, Chicago.
All right.
The second half of the NFC wildcard weekend.
And like Rocky from the movies, Rocky Balboa, Nick Foles makes a staggering comeback and wins the game for the Philadelphia Eagles, beating the Clubber Lang Philadelphia or the Chicago Bears. Did you see that meme or see that video? They someone photoshopped Nick Foles' head on Rocky, and someone photoshopped Khalil Mack's head on Clubber Lang.
I thought, obviously, the takeaway from this game is Cody Parkey misses the game-winning field goal. He had made it, but Peterson, the coach of the Eagles, had iced him with a timeout previously.
You know what I said, though? I was telling my dad, he was like, yeah, that's probably smart. He's going to miss this next one. I'm like, I don't know. You make it the first time. I don't think you should overthink it. You just kick it. It's like, he's overthinking it. Watch, he's going to miss it. He's going to hit the crossbar. I'm like, no, he's not. And he's like, you want to bet? I'm like, I'm too scared to bet. Thank God I was too scared to bet.
He did something incredible that should not be overlooked. He hit the post and the crossbar. Do you know how incredibly difficult that is? If you got 100 kickers in the NFL, every kicker in the NFL, let them do it 100 times, I guarantee you none of them would do it. If you let every kicker in the NFL kick the ball 100 times, they would not hit the post and the crossbar in the same kick. I think what he did was extremely... That's why it'll go down as, historical, right? Not only did he miss, but the way he missed.
He hit off the goalpost and then the crossbar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That. What are the odds of that happening? It's got to be slim, right?
Yeah, ridiculously small. So Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Magic continues as they advance to face the New Orleans Saints. I say they don't have a chance against the Saints, but how can you say that an Eagles team doesn't have a chance at this point? They seem to defy all the odds.
I have a strong suspicion that the Saints are much better than the Chicago Bears.
But we probably thought that the Eagles are going to get killed in the Super Bowl too, right?
I never thought that.
But you also thought the Bears are going to win yesterday.
I did. But okay, last year the Eagles went 13-3. This team is completely different than the 13-3 Eagles that were last year. That's why I'm saying if they somehow get through the Rams, which is very logical, I would say they're not. If the Saints get to the NFC title game and they play the Eagles. No, wait, I'm sorry. If the Eagles play the Saints and the Eagles somehow make it to the NFC title game, they're not making it past there.
I was rooting for the Bears or the Eagles because I wanted to win our picks, and that's what it came down to. If the Bears would have made it, you would have had the most picks right, and the Eagles winning gave me the win.
What pick did we have differently besides
You took
that?
the Texans, you took the Cowboys, you took the Chargers, and you took the Bears.
What did you take?
I took the Colts. I took the Seahawks, so we were 1-1 there. We both picked the Chargers, so we were tied, and then I got the Eagles right, and then you took the Bears. So it came down to that. Whoever got that one. So
That's
Cody
a bummer.
Parkey cost you.
I'm not as upset as most fans
I'm
are.
sure you're not.
He got booed. He got cursed at. If you saw a bunch of Instagram posts that happened right after that game, some fans were screaming at the top of their lungs outside of Soldier Field how much they hate this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were talking about this earlier. He's the highest paid kicker in the league.
He's up there. He is making, I think, next year 3.6 million guaranteed.
Wow. So he, even if he doesn't play, he gets $6 million.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great to lay on your couch and get paid $6 million?
It would be great. It's unfortunate for him. He was 3 for 3 during the game. I thought, it's one of those things where the kicker always, you don't really think about him until you need him to win you a big game, and it happens a lot. But, he had been good, and he misses one kick. We know that later on it was deflected. It was tipped. And we can say that it was barely deflected, and it was, but that could have meant all the difference in the world, because if he kicks that inside the post 2 inches maybe, it goes in. Maybe even an inch. Because if it's an inch over, it hits the crossbar and goes in.
There is supposed a finger tipped that ball.
It did. Definitely touched it. It changes the trajectory.
Science, everybody.
Can you imagine, though? Because that was the type of kick where an inch would have changed it all, because it could have hit the crossbar in the back of the crossbar and went in. Because that ball easily could have went in after it hit the post. It went straight down.
True.
It went straight down, so insane ending. So what does this mean, Chicago? What do you think? What do you think they take away from this? If you're a Bears fan or you're a Bears, supporter, player,
you got to come back even stronger.
Like, you're happy with this season, or do you think the way it ended was so bitter that you can't even be?
Well, you got to be positive, because this beginning of this season, no one expected you to come this close to the playoffs. They thought top 5 pick in the draft. So them coming into this being one of the best teams in the NFC, arguably, is a success in that right, but they got to come back better, stronger, faster, leggier than ever. Accurate than ever, not leggier. I guess both leggier and accurate.
They will need to make adjustments. Obviously, Parkey had problems kicking this year. It wasn't like this is the first game.
He hit off the goalpost more times than, 7 times?
It's unfortunate because he posted on Instagram 4 years ago.
Oh, no. What did he say?
He posted on Instagram 4 years ago a picture of I think it's a light pole, and it said, taking it back to our old days where we used to try and hit this thing.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's...
for accuracy purposes, they used to try and hit this post, I guess. But
that is really, really ironic.
Yeah. Anyways, we need to take a break, and we will talk about the AFC when we come back. But before I do, I want to talk to you about audiobooks. Audiobooks motivate us. They bring us closer together, and of course, they inspire us to do great things. There's no better place to listen than with Audible. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet, and now Audible members get more than ever before. Each month, you get 3 titles of your choice, 1 audiobook, 2 Audible originals, and fitness programs that you cannot get anywhere else. There's never been a better time to experience Audible. Try it free for 30 days by visiting audible.com/GSMC book, or get out your smartphone and text the code GSMC book to 500. Start your 30-day free trial today.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Zero.
Welcome back to the GSMC Bird Box Podcast. I mean the football podcast. Get it? Because people have been talking about the Bird Box all the... Yeah. Anyways.
You know, Bird Box, by the way, it was a lot better than people say. You know, because everybody tries to be cool and, like, be a critic.
Well, I think just because there's so many memes, people are like, is it really that good? That's what I'm assuming.
Because, like, it's really popular and everybody watches, so everybody's like, it's not even that good. Like, no, it wasn't a 10 out of 10, but it was a solid movie.
I just wish that I've seen like also a bit of the ending and like
ending wasn't bad either.
And no, I've just seen like a big chunk of it and said a little, like I said. But I'm really disappointed. There was like, you know, everyone sees their worst fears. I wish we got to see someone's worst fears, at least one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wish I got to
like
see
mystery,
what people
though.
were seeing, but I also want to see at least one person's like worst nightmares. Like what is causing them to want to kill themselves? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it's kind of like a Quiet Place. You want to see the monster at the end.
You just ruined the movie for everybody, by the way.
Oops.
It's all right.
I just realized what I should we edit this?
Nope.
We're not editing.
You ruined it.
Are you sure we shouldn't edit it?
Spoiler alert, you don't see the monster, quote unquote.
There was no monster to begin with.
Actually, you do see it in different ways. I will contest.
Wait, you just spoiled it again.
I thought you said that we didn't see it. I'm saying that you kind of do.
Oh God, I think we really should edit this.
Nope.
Are you
We're
sure?
running with it.
Oh no! Oh no!
You ruined it.
Oh.
So what? Who cares? But what we didn't ruin was the Colts season.
You sure we shouldn't edit this?
Absolutely not.
Oh, fine. Okay.
The Colts
I'm
season,
really sorry, everybody.
The Colts season was not ruined because Andrew Luck is too good, and that defense was phenomenal as they stopped the Texans 21-7 in a game that never really felt close.
I feel really bad right now.
Get over it. Anyways, Andrew Luck, 2 touchdowns, 222 yards. They had a big lead early, and they never looked like they were going to lose this game. Were you a little disappointed in the Texans?
Very. Not
the
a little.
Home team,
Very disappointed.
playoffs.
This team did not show up.
Yeah, they got a fourth.
They were down
quarter
21-0. This should have been a blowout. This should have been a shutout. They scored a garbage touchdown. There was no coming back when they scored. It was very disappointing, and just this team was not the team we saw in the regular season.
Marlon
at
Mack
all.
had a huge game against a vaunted defense.
148 yards rushing. But back to the Texans real quick. This team looked great in the regular season, and then they just decided not to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were a little bit overrated. They really didn't beat anybody this year, but I definitely thought they'd show up a little bit more than what they did, yesterday, or Saturday, I should say. But, yeah, Andrew Luck just diced them up, really, and it was over early, and I thought at some point, the Texans were going to go. Like, I thought they were going to score a touchdown in the first half before halftime. I really thought that we were going to see them right the ship and make it a good game. I was expecting a lot of points in the second half, to be completely honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But it never came to fruition. Do you think who do you blame here? Do you think the Colts are just that much better, or do you think that the Texans really, I don't know, played a poor game?
That's a good question. I think it's a mixture of both. In where, I mean by the fact that they played terrible, but they didn't play to what they're known for, and there was also at the point in where maybe the Colts were better. They did play a great game. Ron the Mac had a great game. Andrew Luck had a pretty solid game, but if they played even a little better, if they played the way they've been playing for the last couple of games in the regular season, maybe it's different, but who knows? But I think it was a mixture of them not living up to their potential and also facing a better team.
Did you like T.Y. Hilton's It costume?
It was weird. Kind of creeped me out a little bit.
Hopkins had 5 catches for 37
Why did he have
yards.
that again? He was trolling them. What was the
Because
reason?
Kareem Jackson said that he was a clown.
Got it. Okay.
So he showed up with the It.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
DeAndre Hopkins, 5 catches, 37 yards. That is a subpar output. We all expected.
Well, he was injured. I'm gonna give him that benefit.
Yeah,
of the
but
doubt.
still, we expected him to have 100 yards, probably a touchdown or 2.
400.
I mean, I know you for sure
yards.
had him as a big game. You picked him in our daily fantasy. You were waiting on his.
I think we
big
both
one.
had guys waiting to do something, and no one did really anything.
I don't know. We'll have to see the next podcast.
I have a feeling you won.
Players did some stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. When we talked about this game going into the weekend, we thought it was going to be the highest scoring game. We both pegged this as the highest scoring game. It was the lowest scoring game of the 4.
Isn't that like a bummer?
Do you know all 4 games hit the under? Which was crazy.
Did they all really?
Yeah.
That's unusual. Usually at least one game gets over, but they all went under?
I believe so. Maybe the Cowboys. I got to check the over-under on that Cowboys game. That one might have hit the over, but the other ones definitely went under for sure. Interesting, though. Interesting game. What do you think? What do you think
I'm
was
thinking
the
of what?
biggest reason why the Colts won?
Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack.
And that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to explain anything else?
Nope.
Yeah.
The Colts now will play the Chiefs, and I think they got a chance. What do you think?
I would say so. I would say there is a chance due to the fact that the Chiefs have lost Kareem Hunt, and that's a huge downer, especially in the playoff time where running is super important.
I think they got better than a chance. I actually think they could win this game. I think they could beat the Chiefs because of how well balanced the Colts are. The Colts are more balanced than the Chiefs are. And I think the Colts can take control of the game. You know what I mean? Like, they can run the ball well with Marlon Mack, keep the Chiefs off the field, and the defense is decent. The defense, I don't think, is going to shut down Mahomes, but can they beat Patrick Mahomes? I think so. We'll see.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah. Well, this game's going to be very interesting for sure. It's going to be one of those competitive matchups that is going to be very enjoyable to watch without question. But the Texans, after that type of season, losing like that, do you see them back in this situation next season?
They should get better. They are still a young team. Deshaun Watson should get better. And, yeah, I don't see any reason why they won't be back. They'll franchise tag Clowney. He's a free agent, so that's important that they keep him. Hopefully they just give him a contract, because what if he's a guy that holds out or something like that? Then that could be a problem for them. But in terms of their team, they're talented. I think they definitely need to invest in their offensive line. Their offensive line is pretty bad. Deshaun Watson got sacked like 55 times this year. Really bad.
That's even a understatement.
They need to invest in their offensive line. I would say their areas of improvement are offensive line first and foremost. Then I'd say secondary. They need 1 or 2 defensive backs. And then I would say they should...
Sounds like they need a lot more than a few things.
No, not really. I mean, they don't have too many problems. 1 or 2 offensive linemen. 1 or 2 defensive backs. And then you could add a running back. I don't think Omar Miller is very good, if I'm being completely honest. I think you can upgrade there. Maybe they find their Marlon Mack type player, you know?
Okay.
Let's move on, though. The Chargers go into Baltimore, and they win this game. It was sort of interesting at the end. I mean, I never thought that the Ravens could make the comeback, but a 23-17 win. It wasn't really that close for most of the game. What was your takeaway from this game?
I think disappointment. I expected a lot more.
I saw a Ravens team that was scared to do anything on offense that was different than run the football for 3.5 quarters, and when they finally let their young quarterback loose, it was too little too late. That's what I saw.
Yeah, true.
He had 8 passing attempts in the first 3 quarters. Lamar Jackson, that is, for the Ravens. I get it. He's a running quarterback. But the running game was not working. Much like the Seattle Seahawks game against the Cowboys the day before, they kept trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just was not working out. And the Chargers' defensive game plan was brilliant. They put 6 or 7 DBs on the field pretty much every single play of the game. They funneled every run play to inside instead of outside. They didn't let Jackson or Edwards or any running back bust any runs outside. Everything they did was inside. If it was a read option, it was handed off inside.
Okay.
They stopped Lamar Jackson, and I didn't see the Ravens adjust. They went at a halftime break, and they came out doing the same thing.
Yeah, and you know how you win playoffs is you adapt, and they did not.
You know what was the most telling for me? Do you remember when they got that turnover in the second half at the beginning, and then they ran 3 plays in a row and kicked a field goal?
Yes.
Like, they had the ball the closest they had been all day, and they ran the ball 3 consecutive times, did not get a first down, kicked a field goal. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're down 12-0. Like, you have to score touchdowns here.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was very frustrating. The big play in this game, though, we have to talk about was the Melvin Gordon goal line play.
Controversial, to say the least.
They ended up ruling him down, and then when they reviewed it, they couldn't overturn the play, which I think that was the right I think it was the right call to not overturn, but I think he did fumble. It was just really hard to change. But that was a huge play as the Chargers scored a touchdown on that drive. And it took one off the board for the Ravens because on the initial fumble, it was a fumble returned 102, 103 yards for a touchdown.
That never came to be.
Yes. So a big, big moment of that game. It was not the reason why the Chargers won by any means. They dominated the football game. I don't think anybody could argue against that. But it would have been an interesting game if that call would have went the other way. It would have certainly changed the football game.
Honestly, I can say every single game was pretty disappointing.
So I thought the Chargers had a great defensive game plan. Offensively, though, the Chargers I thought were very poor, and I thought they were lucky that they played a team that was challenged even more than them offensively. Do you like the Chargers' chances of going across the country and beating the New England Patriots in Foxborough?
I said this before, and I'll say it again. Okay, you want to say it for me?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought. This is one of the weaker Patriots teams I've seen in recent years. And if it's any time to beat them in Foxborough with their kind of, I know they've had a very impressive streak as of late, but like just in success. But this team looks a lot weaker than it did last year and the year before. So I see the Chargers winning this game.
You think Felipe Rios is going to just ride in on there and get the win, huh?
Sure. I just see the entire team in general playing extremely well.
The Chargers are a good team. We talked about this before. Is there a more polar opposite that the Chargers are going to play this week from going from Jackson to Brady? Like we talked about this before. But could there be a bigger difference in quarterbacks? A young, fast, electric quarterback who doesn't throw the ball very often to
it's going to be like
maybe the slowest quarterback in the NFL, Tom Brady? Is he the slowest?
It's like going from who's a scramble back at the moment.
I feel like it's the difference if we're comparing basketball, it'd be the difference of Shaquille O'Neal to Anthony Davis. They both play the same position, but they're completely different players. Like if they played against each other or in the same era, you know.
Okay, we can go there.
Like Lamar Jackson is a quarterback that has no comparison to Tom Brady.
I wouldn't even call him a quarterback. I would say he's mainly a running back. His throws were pretty gruesome last night.
In the box score, he outplayed Phillip Rivers, believe it or not.
Did he?
Phillip Rivers had 32 pass attempts for 160 yards. That's really bad. And no, I'm not saying Lamar Jackson had a better game. I'm just saying in the box score, Jackson had 194 passing yards on 29 attempts. So he also got sacked 7 times.
Yeah, there were a lot of instances.
The Ravens' offensive line was bad. That was another thing that was surprising to me. They couldn't give Lamar Jackson time to throw more than Lamar Jackson was having a problem throwing the ball, Mm-hmm. But anyways, maybe we should move on and discuss the Natty in the next segment.
Yes, but first I want to talk to you about Audible. What would we all like if we listen more? Listening to audiobooks inspires us, motivates us, and even brings us closer. And there's no better place to listen than Audible. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet, and now Audible members get more than ever before. Each month, they get 3 titles of their choice. 1 audiobook, 2 Audible originals, and finished programs they can't get anywhere else. There's never been a better time to experience Audible. Try it free for 30 days by visiting audible.com/GSMCbook or texting the code GSMCbook to 500-500. Remember, if you want to get this free 30-day trial for Audible, go to audible.com/GSMCbook or text the code GSMCbook to 500-500.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Zero.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Football Podcast. We talked about the wildcard games. Now let's go to the national championship game of college football between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Clemson Tigers once again.
Yes, Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, they will once again meet tonight and decide who is the best program in college football in the 2018-2019 season. A lot of storylines going into tonight's game. What is this, the 100th time they've played each other in the last 2 years?
3.
Oh.
Well, 4th, actually. They have their 2-1 record.
Do you think we're gonna see a classic game tonight?
This will be the 3rd national championship 4 times in the college football playoff.
Do you think we'll see a classic game tonight, or do you think we'll see a forgettable game?
Well, from the things that have happened this weekend, I can see it going either way.
Should be a good game, man. I think these are the best 2 teams in college.
Bleacher Report has said Bama Clemson 3 will be epic. 30 out of 30 to 40 NFL prospects, one of the best QB prospects ever, and an underdog on those it can win. That's what they say the 3
and
points
Lawrence
are.
is a pretty darn good quarterback prospect, too. I know they're talking about
great
Tua.
hair.
I know they're talking about Tua when they say one of the best quarterback but Lawrence is a freshman, and we're talking about a kid who can do it all, too. I mean, that guy can really throw the football.
Mm-hmm. Great hair, too, by the way, Clemson.
Sunshine.
Sunshine has the advantage in hair. And I think that might be the difference maker in this game.
I think Sunshine might get the W.
It's because of that hair, man.
And also Tua, he said he doesn't
Tua doesn't have the hair.
But Tua said he doesn't like the 49ers because he grew up a Cowboys fan and he's playing in Santa Clara, so I think there's something there.
What a little... I'm sorry, but that's pointless. That's a pointless comment.
He was asked a question. All week they get asked pointless questions. He said he grew up a Cowboys fan. He doesn't like the 49ers.
I get that and all, but it shouldn't matter where you play. I mean, it's the national championship. It's a neutral ground. I don't think there'll be any Niner logos anywhere that will affect him. Don't you think?
No, I don't think it means anything. I just think it's a little bit of a bad omen. You know what I mean?
Oh, playing at a place you hate?
No, just that. And also because Clemson, they're honoring Dwight Clark tonight, a former 49er and Clemson alum who passed away earlier this year from ALS. Dwight Clark on the minds of the Clemson Tigers as they plan on honoring in the pregame. They're going to go to his statue that was erected earlier this year at Santa Clara at Levi Stadium. They plan on going to the statue and honoring him. Also, before Dwight Clark passed away, Dabo Swinney did send him a jersey, a Clemson Tigers jersey, and we heard some of the players yesterday talk about how they're playing this game in honor of Dwight Clark. So with those vibes, man, I'm kind of feeling like Clemson might get the win, even though they're a 5.5-point underdog. What do you think? Is this crazy football fan talking here, or do you think there might be something to this?
I don't know. It seems kind of back and forth, doesn't it? I don't know what to say about it, really. I would just say it's a lot of respect for a legend that is iconic in the world of the football. Like, that play will never be forgotten, the catch.
Yes.
And it's just it's one of those really cool, just showing respect, showing love, just really appreciative of the past type of thing. And I think that's really respectful.
Yeah. So do you think that this will be a high-scoring game? What's your kind of feeling?
Yeah, I could see it going up there. 20 and 30 points, roughly.
So what's your prediction?
I'll go 31-21 Alabama.
31-21 Alabama? Mm-hmm. So not really that high scoring, especially for a college game.
Yeah, but 31, it's up there kind of, those points. But it's just because these teams are kind of evenly matched, 1 and 2, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't want to get carried away and go 56-54. You know what I mean? I don't want to risk saying too high.
Yeah. So the over-under right now is 57. So you think it'll be slightly under?
Just barely.
It started off at 60 and it's gone down to 57. But I think the bet here, if you're betting on the game, is the over-under on the first half. The first half line is 40, which I find incredible. I think that's way too high. 40 points is the over-under in the first half. I think you got to take the under there. There's always a filling out period, it feels like, in college football, at least in big games. I think this is one of those times. Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban grew up in the same county. You cannot tell by the way they speak to each other because of how different their accents are. Nick Saban does not sound like Dabo Swinney. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah. It's hard to deny that.
Dabo's real twangy. Real twangy. Nick Saban's very city, you know?
True.
But
it's all about the city lights. I don't know. That wasn't even a song.
I think Alabama will win this. I think if they played 10 times, Alabama could win 7 or 8 times. I think Clemson has a chance. I don't think it'll be a huge upset. They're only 5.5-point underdog, so it's not like the community thinks that they're way overmatched or anything like that. I do have Alabama winning 34-31. I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a fun game. I'm actually excited for it. I know a lot of people maybe aren't feeling this trilogy. Maybe they're not feeling this rematch. But don't we as sports fans like rematches when they're good teams?
Yeah, sometimes. But, you know, there's sometimes when a rematch happens and the team just blows out the other team.
Sure.
So we might see that because Clemson won the last one, if I remember correctly. Yes.
Last year?
No. Last time
match,
yes.
That was the Deshaun Watson game, right?
Yeah, Bama clinched that one. So I say there might be a blowout, there might not be, but anything can really happen when it comes to these two teams.
We're going to see two big-time defensive lines playing each other today.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'll be tough on the quarterbacks. There's a lot of good talent on the field at every position, but I really think that's where you're going to see the, I guess, maybe the class oozing from both of these teams is the defensive lines, I think, just have an upper hand. I'd say this is probably the number 1 and number 2 defensive lines in the country. NFL prospects galore. Like you mentioned earlier, there might be 30 to 40 first-round picks on the field tonight. We don't really know, but there will be 4 or 5 from this year for sure for both teams. We'll find out down the road. But what do you say we take a break? When we come back, we'll wrap things up. We got some news and notes around the NFL.
Yeah, it's the final countdown. We'll see you when we get back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to Extreme Cage Fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
It's the final segment. Do-do-do-do.
Come on, man. Nobody wants to hear that crap.
You are the only one that doesn't like hearing that.
No one likes it.
That's a great song. It's a pump-up song.
Every day you say the final countdown and then sing the song.
It's a good song, man. Why do you hate that song so much?
First off, the song's not that good. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The final countdown's a good song. You listen to that song?
Yeah.
Like that's in your playlist?
Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
What else? You listen to the Friday song by Rebecca Black too?
Yeah. Anyways,
what about Mbop by Hanson?
I don't have that. I don't have that song, but whatever.
Anyways, let's talk about a few things. Joe Flacco. Where will Joe Flacco be playing football next year? Because it sounds like he has played his last game with the Ravens. Before the game even, there was talk that the Ravens would look to cut or trade him before next year.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen.
So where do you see him playing?
Retirement home? Just kidding. I don't know. There's not that many places where they're looking for that position. That's why it's like the worst time to do it.
Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Redskins. You think any of these?
I think Jacksonville's trying to go for you know who I'm talking about. I can't say his name right now. Ohio State quarterback. My tongue's twisted. Why can't I say his name? Hopkins. Wow, I can't say his name. You know who I'm talking about? Ohio State quarterback.
Haskins.
Thank you. Why couldn't I say that? Haskins. Oh wow. My tongue just got double-tied.
Man, rough day at the office, huh?
Ugh, coffee didn't really help, but whatever. Anyways,
yeah, we'll see what teams address what.
I think that Jackson will go for a younger quarterback again. I
kind of feel like Jacksonville, though, like they might be a team that signs a veteran and drafts a quarterback, right? Because I don't think they keep Bortles. Do you think they keep Bortles around?
No, he's done.
And they're not going to keep their backup, who got benched for Bortles. Jacksonville might be a team that needs more than one quarterback. Like they will probably do the whole let's sign a veteran and draft, like how the Cardinals did with Sam Bradford this year, and then they drafted Josh Rosen. So they signed Bradford, drafted Rosen. I think Jacksonville is probably a team that does something similar.
Yeah, I just honestly with Cody Kessler and Blake Bortles, they gotta look for somebody new.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably two. Yeah,
3, 4, 5. Just have 5 different quarterbacks. Just not risk
the
it.
Giants could be a team that is looking for a quarterback. I know that right now they're with Eli. The Raiders could cut ties with Derek Carr. I don't think that'll happen, but it is possible with the contract that he has that they cut bait now and get out of that long-term deal. The Bengals, Andy Dalton, and a new coach. A new coach might want to go somewhere else.
Did you see the memes of it might be Dervin, it was like Marvin Lewis, but his name was changed and he had a mustache. It was Lervin Lewis or something like that, and he had a big fancy mustache.
That's funny. So anyways, maybe the Redskins obviously are going to be looking for a quarterback after what happened to Alex Smith and also Colt McCoy. They're going to have to kick the tires and, I don't know, the draft, free agency. We'll see what happens with them. Other than that, Cody Parkey. Do you see Cody Parkey on the Bears roster next year? Or do you think they have to cut ties with him?
He's hanging on by a thread, ain't he?
Mm-hmm.
I say he's done. Cut. Gone.
He
Bye.
had a tough season, other than yesterday. I don't think he'll be coming back. I really don't. The problem is he's making a good amount of money. And you kind of wonder if he'll be brought back just because, I don't know, they need to not pay a ton of money at that position. He's actually due to make... Wow. Cody Parkey has 3 years left on his deal and averages $2.7 million a year. That's crazy. If they cut him, it'll cost them about $4 million. Unbelievable.
That's wow. That's
you got to feel for the guy, right?
Yeah.
You got to feel for him. He sat there in front of his locker and took the punches from the reporters. I mean,
yeah, they were some brutal punches.
He said, "I just want to go home and hang out with my wife and my dog because they won't love me any less for missing that kick." He said something like that, and I was like, "Ouch!" That's
his wife better be like his wife was like, "Oh, I gotta make him feel much better tonight."
Little does he know when he gets home, she's like, "How the hell did you?" His dog doesn't look at him, you know. No, tough crowd today. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna no-sell that one.
How about that Alan Hearns disgusting leg injury that he had?
Oh, that made me it snapped, and yet it's only dislocated.
It snapped, yeah.
It said it was a dislocation, but I saw it snap. It was like
it was pretty devastating, though. I guess it was the surgery was very tough. They might have to actually go back in. Some ligament damage. Yeah, that did not look good.
Yeah, it looked like it was a stick. It sounded like a stick.
The last thing I want to talk about is that weird ruling in the Eagles-Bears game where a completed catch turned out to be an incomplete catch because nobody recovered a fumble. What do you think about that?
That rule makes zero sense to me. I don't understand it.
Didn't Al Michaels say something like, "Are they just making this up as they go?" He said something like that. He said,
"They're calling this on the fly, aren't they?"
He said something like, "They're making it up as they go, or they're calling it on the fly." I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought it was funny too. I started laughing because it was one of the facts of so it was a fumble, but you rule it an incomplete pass, so it's a fumble incomplete pass. What is it?
I don't know why a play would be rendered something else because of a following action didn't occur. Like, if you run a red light, you run a red light. You don't run a red light only if you hit someone, right? Like, you run a red light, and then you are lucky that you didn't hit anybody if you didn't, or you hit somebody if you did, but you still ran the red light regardless. That's what I feel like that was. You caught the ball, and because everybody stopped playing and the referee blew the whistle, doesn't mean you caught the ball. No, you caught the ball.
So it's a fumble, and it should have stayed where the ball died. So inside the 10-yard line, roughly around there?
Yeah. That's what I would think. That's the logic that I would have.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're done for today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll discuss the Natty. We'll discuss the matchups this weekend in the NFL as we have more clarity on injury situations. We'll look at the matchups because there are some interesting teams facing each other. It's not always about who's better than who. It's about maybe this team matches up better with this team. So we'll discuss all of that tomorrow and the rest of the week in the football podcast. Please join us. Take care of yourselves and have fun watching the national championship tonight.
Yes, everyone, have a good day. Enjoy the game. And remember, I'm Jeff Mounthoff. That's Marc Souza, and we will see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.